Hello friends, today we are back with a fresh video. This time I'm here to discuss a very celebrated English poem, but I'm not going to talk the very cliched points. I'm not going to discuss the very cliched points, the points which we have already come across while learning the poem in school or anywhere else. I'll try my level best to help you out to look at the poem from an angle a bit different from the ones which we have read the poem from. And the poem, as I said, is a very celebrated poem of course, one of the most noted poets, and it is The Listeners. Now, I have thought of discussing, or rather adding another subtitle to the most noted title, a point from where I'm going to discuss the poem. While reading the poem, I have thought that I should rather call it The Listeners, which is an unanswered dream. Now, how is it an unanswered dream, or how is it a dream? That is what I'm going to tell you about in this video. So please stay with us and keep watching the video till the end. Now, as most of you who have read the poem, you already know that this poem has a supernatural quality in it. And those of you who have not read the poem yet, don't worry. I will be discussing, or I will be reading out the poem, not in this video. For that you have to stay with us, you have to be connected with us. I'll talk about the poem in detail in my next video. But just for a gist today, I'll say that this poem has a supernatural element in it. Now, before getting into the poem, you must first know what supernaturalism is. Like with supernaturalism, we always immediately associate the images of fairies or ghosts or superheroes, right? So basically, what is supernaturalism? What is supernaturalism? It is a word, like I would rather define it as a word that instantly takes up anyone's excitement. Like, this is the very first point. Anyone's excitement a few notches higher, right? So the moment we get to hear this supernaturalism, this word, instantly what happens, our excitement gets doubled up, right? So it's supernaturalism, so we are going to experience something magical in it, something like fairy tale in the story or in the poem, right? So it doubles up our excitement Be it about superheroes or fairy tales or ghostly stories. Supernaturalism has always attracted people's attention, and when those very elements of supernaturalism come in a piece of poem, just imagine, like we have always read about supernaturalism in stories, right? As I said, in fairy tales or in ghost stories. But imagine, like those very elements of supernaturalism, if they come in a piece of poem to instill some eeriness in the minds of the readers, then what do you think the result will be? Then the poem takes the shape of some mystery to which one keeps on looking for answers, right? Immediately, what happens? It creates an atmosphere of mystery. So, supernaturalism immediately creates an atmosphere of mystery, right? And of course, mystery is, it goes on, it goes on forming questions to which the mind keeps on looking for answers. So, such is a poem. As I said, such is this poem, The Listeners by Walter de la Mare. Such a poem is, of course, The Listeners by Sir Walter de la Mare. This is a beautiful piece of poetry. It's not very of fairy tale kind of a thing. It's rather a bit mysterious, a bit eerie, a little gothic in nature. Now, why do I say these things? You will get to know by and by, right? So, before I tell you anything more about the poem, I must say over here that Walter de la Mare's poems are mostly, like, those of you who have a habit of reading poetry and have read Walter de la Mare, you will definitely agree with me on this point that most of his poems are on a single subject. Okay, most of his poems are on a single subject. This is very interesting. And what is the subject all about? It is, like, according to him, he had named this theory, that is the dream of wake. This is the theme, or this is the subject on which most of his poems are based. Now, what is this dream of wake? So, in that dream, the natural and the supernatural become one. Because dream is something which we get to watch when we are in our sleep. So, that's the supernatural world that is created, rather most of us, or rather, there have been many philosophies, many philosophers. According to Plato, there is an ideal world, and this is the dream that shows us our ideal worlds, right? The world which we crave for. So basically, the dream of wake is a particular dream in which the supernatural and the natural. Now, natural world is the world which we experience when we are awake, and the supernatural world is that which we experience when we are asleep. So in this dream, both these worlds, the supernatural and the natural, they become one. Okay, so in this dream of wake, the natural and the supernatural become one. And resultantly, what happens? Resultantly, the future is seen in the instant, which brings all the experience to him, or to the poet, or to the person, to the individual who is dreaming. Okay, preternaturally sharpened and free from reason. Okay, because the natural world, it seeks for reasons, but the supernatural world, it is absolutely free from reason, right? We don't get to we don't ask why is it happening, how is it happening, but we simply keep on enjoying. We simply keep on enjoying what happens within that dream. So every poem by Mare is very similar to a dream. Okay, to such a dream. Rather, I would say, a world that was conjured up by the poet's imagination. And according to the poet, the world of his imagination is old as Eden and remote as the stars. This is a very, very beautiful, a very beautiful thought that was, of course, given by, or put forward by the poet himself, that this the world which your imagination creates is as old as Eden and remote as the stars. So this is what Mare had thought, as I was saying, that your imagination world, the world of your imagination, is, this is what he had said, old as Eden and remote as the stars. Now, I can just quickly, explain this expression. It's why is he saying that this world of imagination is old as Eden? Because it was there from the very beginning. Since the earth was created, since God had created man, since God had created our forefathers, okay, since God had created this world, this beautiful world. So this world of imagination was also there from the very beginning. If the world of imagination is the ideal world of a human mind, then it should be there from the very beginning, from the very moment that man was born into this world. And it is, of course, as remote as the stars. Just like we cannot get hold of the stars, just like we cannot, get the stars in our hands, equally, we don't get hold, or we don't get to travel to this ideal world or to this world of imagination in reality. We need to fly to this world on the wings of our dreams only. So, this is what he has tried to mean by this expression. Now, so similarly, this poem, the listeners, takes one into a remote world. Now, why did I say that this poem is a dream? Because if you go on reading this poem, you'll get this feeling that slowly and steadily you are traveling into a world that does not exist in reality, but it definitely exists in our imagination. It is there. We all crave for such a peaceful world. Okay, we dream. That is, it has got a dream-like essence in it. So this poem takes one into a remote world as distant as the stars, and an unearthly atmosphere hangs over the poem. It shows one that the poetic world created by the imagination is inhabited by fairies and phantoms. So, as I said, just let me write this point down for you, that will make the things easier. So, this poem, the listeners takes one into a remote world as distant as the stars. Never mind. As the stars. And as I said, the next point which you will keep in mind, that is a very an unearthly atmosphere hangs over the poem. So if just let me give or write the points under bullets. So that is the first point. This is my second point. An unearthly atmosphere hangs over the poem. Okay. Now, however, the poet gives only vague hints and dim suggestions, very dim, suggestions of this mysterious world. He keeps everything under a thick, misty cover of indefiniteness. Like if you go through the poem, you'll feel this, that yes, he does paint a picture of a very mysterious world, but he doesn't mention of it and or mention anything about it directly. All right, like you will keep on asking yourself if this is really a dream, or did it really take place with the traveler? Is this place really like this? What could have been what could have happened at that point of time. So these are the questions which will be fired, rather, okay, fired. Your mind will keep on firing at you, okay. Apparently this poem is a very simple poem, with some supernatural qualities, okay. Apparently, like, if you just read it, you will the poem will seem to be a very, very simple poem with certain some supernatural elements. Or qualities. As I told you at the very beginning, the poem does contain certain gothic qualities too. So, like, it is, of course, for me, you might differ, you might not agree with me on this point, but be it a poem or a story, the success of the writer depends on the interpretations, the various interpretations made by the readers. So this is my interpretation. The poem is a little gothic in nature. It is gothic in nature, in which a traveler comes to a forest riding a horse on a moonlit night and gets down before a haunted house and knocks on the door asking, "Is there anybody there?" Now, apparently it is very simple, but on a deeper level, it rather looks like a dream. You might imagine the traveler in a knight's attire, okay, KNIGHTS, knight's attire. So it looks very much like a dream, rather a human mind that wants to enter his own dream world. So what do we do in our dreams? Basically, the mind, it tries to get into that ideal world that we crave for, or the world which we go on thinking of in our subconscious mind, right? So while reading the poem, you might feel that it is the poet's mind which is trying to get into his own his own dream world. All right, because see, dreams are nothing but the answers to the questions that the mind seeks to know. It is through these dreams that a man seeks answers to his mind, isn't it? So sometimes, but sometimes the mind is satiated, but most of the time the questions remain unanswered, because there will be many dreams. Like, sometimes you will enjoy watching your dreams, you will enjoy, maybe you are craving for ice creams, and you get to see that yes, you have been gifted by someone with lots and lots of ice creams, you are having them, yes, so you are actually enjoying yourself over that ice cream, over those ice creams in your dream, in your ideal world. But sometimes it so happens we get to see dreams which are which come as bits, which come in bits, tits and bits, not very clear, okay, the meanings are not very clear, they are vague, they are they are very foggy, very cloudy, they just float into your mind. You maybe you get to enter a place, but you cannot. So it is such a dream, this poem. You will definitely get to feel that this dream, okay, sometimes many dreams, they remain, in your dreams, many questions, they remain unanswered. And And of course, this poem, the listeners, if it is a dream at all, then this poem is pretty much an unanswered dream. Now, why is it so? To know that, you will have to remain with us till our next video that will come pretty soon. In that video, I'm going to discuss why is this poem an unanswered dream. So till then, keep watching, keep learning, and yes, if you like this explanation, please do press the like button, share the video with your friends and your closed ones, and please do write to us if you have any question, if you want to know anything on this poem or on any other thing related to any other subject. We will try our level best to answer your questions, to clear your doubts. So as I said, we are going to meet very quickly in our next video with a detailed analysis of the poem, The Listeners. Till then, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you.